All right, so we begin the exercise by creating a visual web part. Again, the reason it's visual is because it contains a design interface. Okay, so I'm going to call it demo VWP. Okay, and because a web part involves deploying these ASCX file or ASPX file to the file system of Sharepoint, you have to deploy them as a farm solution. Okay, click on Finish. Now, every web part project contains a web part descriptor file. So this descriptor file points to the fully qualified class name and also the variable that is the name of the DLL. Okay, it's called assembly full name. This will be replaced by the complete path to the assembly when this project is built. Okay. All right, so it will be deployed to global assembly cache. All right, and the destination is dev.contaso.com. Okay. All right, cool. And in the visual web part, when you double click on the visual web part itself, you get a markup, right? Okay. This is where you can actually use a design view. The entire experience is very similar to that of web forms. Okay. So we're going to simply drag and drop a label here. Cool. All right. And we're going to give it a blank text because we're going to populate it from the code behind. Okay. Okay. All right, remember, this is just a markup, right? You can right click on that and go to view code. This takes you to the code behind of this visual web parts. All right, so when the page loads, we want to dynamically set the label greeting text so that it reflects our greeting. Hello world. Okay, and we also want to include okay. All right, any questions so far? This is the code behind the page. Now the SP context comes from the namespace of Sharepoint namespace. So Alt Shift F10 using Microsoft Sharepoint namespace. Okay. Now one fun thing you can do is you know that you're accessing current user. All right. So a few more things to highlight is that there is the packaging of this visual web part so they can be deployed. Okay. So anytime you create a new project, you will get a corresponding feature one that describes the item you're trying to deploy. So in feature one, you'll see that it includes the visual web part, which points to the web part description page. Okay, so that's what we're deploying. And there is a group. Currently, it will be deployed to a custom group. Okay. In the lab, we want to say Contaso custom web part. Okay, so it will show up under that group when we try to embed them into a page. Okay. Now at this time, we can just go ahead and do a debug if you want to interactively debug stuff. Okay, part of debug is actually deploying this project. So I'm doing a manual deploy. It's going to build this project, so if you have any syntax error, it will be highlighted here. Okay, very well. So let's go to dev.contaso.com. Okay. And I'm going to click OK there. Okay. All right, so now the page has come up. We're going to select Edit to edit this page. Okay, part of editing the page gives you an Insert tab. So notice the parts are side by side, so they are meant to behave similarly. So this is my group, and you can see my demo web part. Okay. All right, so this is my web part page. Okay. All right, so there is my hello world, and that's my username right there. Okay, cool. And you may notice, why is it showing me the £0 It's just because this site is using claim-based authentication. Okay, and that is the username in terms of claims. Okay, and the other website is probably using classic authentication. Okay, so nevertheless, that is technically the username, what claims to be me. All right, so that's the first part of the exercise on Lab 1. Any questions, folks?